Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for returning. We are doing a new series. And by we, I guess I mean me saying words and you hopefully listening, sticking around. Yes, that new series, The Four Agreements. And we're going to start with the first agreement. This is The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. And I really do remember the excitement of the checkout lady at Barnes & Noble when she recommended, well, when I purchased it, she told me that her coworker feverishly recommends this book. Like it's got the ultimate secrets in it. So let's get into it. Let's get into it. The Four Agreements. Here's the Four Agreements. I mean, you might think this gives it all away, and it really doesn't, because behind each agreement is a whole lot. It's a lot more magic-y than it looks. Like it just looks like, oh, great advice. Okay, what are the four agreements? Be impeccable with your word. Sounds great. Don't take anything personally. Cool. Don't make assumptions. Alrighty. Always do your best. Gee whiz. So good. But the book itself builds a lot more behind these things. So today we're going to talk about the first agreement, to be impeccable with your word. Ruiz says this is the most important and most difficult agreement. With just this, you can transcend to heaven on earth. As you can see, we're already well past, your well-meaning relatives' advice. The word is the power to create, to manifest. Okay. The word is a uniquely human magic power. All right. So here the word is a uniquely human and potent life-altering tool in constant use. Ruiz calls to mind the word as discussed in the Gospel of John. Sephriet Zira's references to the divine power of speech, as I mentioned previously, also come to mind. And as you know, I love Sephriet Zira, the most important book that nobody reads. The word is a two-edged sword. You can create heaven on earth, so impeccability as good magic, and then create a living hell, misuse of the word, as black magic. So we are handed an antique weapon and given consequences for our choices. We become responsible for extremes of experience, heaven and hell, based on what we choose to say. And those are like the outside boundaries, right? Heaven on one side, hell on the other. This to me evokes images of the elemental dagger, or the swords of book T, the tarot, with two sharp edges representing mental discernment. And here we have the Ace of Swords. What could this represent? All right, so I'm not going to use the name because I don't want certain forces to decide they don't like my channel because of words. So let's just say the Austrian painter, using such black magic in World War II, manipulated an intelligent populace, led them into a world war, convinced them to commit atrocities, activated fear, which became global violence, and will be remembered forever for his negative impact. So I look at this and I think the reference here recalls the occult influences of the period, including the Thule Society, the Vril Society, Carl Jung's earlier recognition of the rise of Wotan from the deepest shadow of the populace, and his patients in particular, who were being treated for schizophrenia. And that's a whole other thing. Also, the contemporary beneficial lodges and spiritual organizations of the period. The Golden Dawn was founded in 1888. There certainly were lodges and associations that predated that. There's also the spiritual combat recorded in the Magical Battle of Britain. Super interesting. The book's author, Dion Fortune, along with Dennis Wheatley, Aleister Crowley, Uncle Al, Gerald Gardner, and Ian Fleming, yes, the James Bond author, are all listed as prominent participants in this magical Battle of Britain, which was spiritual warfare done from the Golden Dawn Lodge. And there's a whole lot more to that, but we're just going to stick with the Ruiz, I guess. So magic is power and can be used for good or ill. The human mind is fertile ground. Word seeds are constantly planted. Opinions, ideas, and concepts are seeds. These seeds grow according to what the soil is prepared for. Too often we are prepared to receive and grow fear. Become aware of what kinds of seeds your mind is prepared for. That's Ruiz. The reticular activating system, that's a good thing to know about, helps us find what we're looking for, but we must tune this mental filtration system, something that Robert Anton Wilson was keenly aware of. And you must know that I love Robert Anton Wilson tremendously. If we operate in a cynical, negative paradigm, we will continually find evidence to support negativity. If we have more positive beliefs, we will find further evidence to support those. This prepares our minds, our oh so fertile minds, for these word seeds, what it will accept or reject. Now here is a picture of Uncle Bob, Robert Anton Wilson, in his advanced age, saying, an optimistic mindset finds dozens of possible solutions for every problem that the pessimist regards as incurable. And that was during an interview in 2001. So Ruiz says, every human is a magician. We can create or release spells. We can suggest that people look sick and they can become sick. Or you could release a spell, like you believe you're stupid, but then someone proves that you're smart. Or we can reinforce the belief. Someone says you're stupid and reinforces the belief that you hold that you're stupid. My commentary would be Dr. Joe Dispenza and Dr. Rupert Sheldrake, among many, many others, have used countless barrels of ink supporting this idea. The magic of suggesting, accepting, or rejecting an idea has a powerful and life-changing effect and may even affect the structure of reality as you experience it, certainly. It is best to use this magic for good in full conscious awareness. Ruiz gives us a little Latin lesson, which is fine. Impeccability means without sin. Latin im, without, peccatus, sin. A sin in Ruiz's world is anything that goes against yourself. When you judge or blame yourself for anything. Impeccability means taking responsibility for your actions, but without self-blame or self-judgment. There's the rub. Self-rejection equals mortal sin and leads to death. Yeah, Ruiz doesn't like to pull punches. He likes to work in the extreme, and I can appreciate that, because even though it's not the best way to think about everything, it does allow you to really bring certain concepts right up front to make it extreme and go, look how important this is. So Ruiz talks about mortal sin, death, heaven, hell, big stuff. Redefining the concept of sin, as Ruiz does, likely raises the ire of traditionalists, but really what doesn't? And I have enough rebel spirit in me to say, yeah, stir it up, shake it up. I especially appreciate the internal locus of control that permeates the work. For Ruiz, you're in charge. And I love that. It is a cornerstone of magic and serves us well, though it must be balanced for sanity's sake. Because you can kind of take it too far and lose the ability to operate in the world very well. Let's put it that way. So balance for sanity's sake. Being impeccable, says Ruiz, means don't use the word against yourself. Calling someone stupid hurts the relationship, and therefore it hurts ourselves. To love others creates mutual love, and we benefit. Being impeccable with your word is the correct use of your energy, because it's using energy in the direction of truth and self-love. It is hard because we have learned to lie to others and the self. Okay, Ruiz. So Ruiz combines the word as power or energy with the notion of sin causing damage. Ruiz seems largely interested in the effect on self, even within an interpersonal context. Some may see that as solipsism or ego inflation or even antinomianism. And these are dangerous shadows for students of the mysteries to be keenly aware of. However, finally, one can only be fully responsible for the self. The self. I'm stressing this because ego inflated people tend to go out into the world and try to control other people. Very common, not unusual. So be fully responsible for the self and leave other people the hell alone if you must. Maybe be nice to them. That's fine too. The power of the word is completely misused in hell. Oh my goodness. Here we go. Don Miguel. We curse, we blame, we find guilt, we destroy. Misusing our power of the word. We express anger, jealousy, envy, and hate. We plan revenge. We create chaos. We create hate towards groups. We create and perpetuate the dream of hell. Very interesting. We are doing black magic all the time without even knowing it. See, Ruiz just likes to just take it to the wall, man. No half measures with Don. And yeah, that escalated quickly. Now we are hurled into the thick of more dire consequences than we might expect. We not only leap into the fiery pit, but far worse, we now create and maintain its relentless leaping flames. Creator and maintainer. Where's the finisher? The big three. Why is it always you three? The dream of hell is certainly evocative and takes internal locus of control to a whole new level. For the dream is of the dreamer, and the dreamer is of the dream, good or bad. And there we have one of those hells. People think that there's no hells in Eastern religions. All I have to say is congratulations. There are further things to explore for you. And here's one of them. If we hear an opinion and accept it, we are making an agreement, says Ruiz. If we hear an opinion and we accept the opinion, that's an agreement. Parents put negative agreements on their children. People cast negative agreements upon us if we accept the agreement. See that internal locus of control. If we accept the agreement, it hurts us and casts us into hell. However, we must forgive them. The only way to break the agreement spell is to embrace the truth. Okay, so there's the third. Our creator, our maintainer, our ender, or finisher, or completer, or understander, or some see it as destroyer. That's the third. Embracing the truth is the third here. Creating a hell, maintaining a hell, destroying a hell through the truth. We are constantly accepting or rejecting magical compacts, according to Ruiz, which is a refreshing way to view conflict. I will say that. Framing antagonisms as self-generated agreements requires high levels of distress tolerance and self-awareness. Because it's much easier to say, the world makes me miserable. Other people makes me feel horrible. Sorry for the grammar. External things are responsible for my state. But if you frame these antagonisms as self-generated agreements, like You bought into it. You really need some distress tolerance and self-awareness to be able to actually buy into that. And that's not the work of a moment. It takes many years of disciplined effort to reach the kind of equanimity that Ruiz would require of us to see these as agreements that you are a party to. But it would be worth the work required. Remember your inner Mars, your power of no. Mars is a protector, using its power to establish boundaries and say no. So you can say no to these agreements. You don't have to accept the crap that comes from the world. You don't even have to accept that it's crap. That's a whole other level, though. All right. The worst type of black magic, according to Ruiz, is gossip. Gossip is pure poison that we learned from adults as children, says Ruiz. Gossip is now normalized as the main mode of communication, and he's not really off base. Otherwise, we wouldn't have tabloids, tabloid TV, a huge amount of social media traffic, talking about this person, talking about that person. Terrible gossip. And we seem to love it. Why? Because we do this because misery loves company in hell, according to Ruiz. Remember, he's not a halfway person. It's always, it's heaven or hell, man. Fear and suffering are part of the dream of the planet. Okay, so I'm feeling some Maya here. Feeling some Vishnu dream. This is how the dream of the planet keeps us down, man. It's the Matrix, brah. Okay, so what Ruiz talks about with gossip, this matches the dire warnings surrounding Lashon Hara, evil speech, mentioned here. And yes, the warnings around evil speech are quite dire. And it's really better to not do it, because to make up for acts of Lashon Hara takes an awful lot. An awful lot. It's likened to taking a pillow full of feathers and climbing up on your roof and releasing all those feathers to the wind. That's your gossip. And the only way to correct this is to gather up all of the feathers, which means correcting every bad thing that ever happens based on what you said. So you can see how, you don't want to do it. And we are again placed squarely in Ruiz's poetic dream realm. He loves the dream realm. If you're into the Eastern stuff, Maya, think Maya. We're operating in the same paradigm. This echoes John Milton's Paradise Lost. The mind is its own place, and in itself can make a heaven of hell or a hell of heaven, because it filters and shapes reality as we experience it. Remember back to Robert Anton Wilson? It is best to remain aware. And here we have the expulsion from paradise, and it's an image in the public domain. Get out of this cave, the Hebron cave, perhaps. And there's the snake. Oh, always with the snakes. Always with the snakes. Wise as serpents. Knowledge. You wanted knowledge. Here you are. Here's the serpent of knowledge. And it will, let's see, what is it? You will strike at its head, and it will strike at your heel. It's kind of how we treat knowledge. Gossip is like a mind virus that hinders our mind's functions, so says Ruiz. We may act based on negative gossip about people we don't even know. And in the age of social media, that couldn't be more true. Could not be more true. Who cares about Harry and Meghan at all? What impact do they have on your life at all? Do you know them? You do not know them. Negative gossip about them. There are entire TV episodes about it. And regardless of their character or lack of character, you don't know them. You don't know them, and you're wasting time and energy. even thinking about them. Okay, this pattern continues in a never-ending chain through all humans. This chaos is called mitote by Toltecs, the chaos of 1,000 different voices all speaking at once in the mind. And if it's Alderaan, they will be silenced. Here, Ruiz introduces the concept of mitote. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. No idea. I am at once reminded of Maya, which is the apparent world. The world is an appearance, a fog, an ignorance, but has a projecting power and a veiling power. The projecting power of Maya, the veiling power of Maya. Mitote initially seems like a mental confusion arising from being too receptive, too much Jupiter, too receptive to conflicting internal voices, too much Jupiter leading to klipotic agshekelo, the breakers in pieces. Too much Jupiter. It calls forth visions of tortured souls crying out, or a relentless wind where nothing can take root, given the references to the dream of hell. Right? I believe there's some classic literature that talks about the relentless wind where sinners tumble around, nothing can take root. This also strikes me as similar to the borderline to psychotic range of personality organization and its various powerful delusions and psychoses. The maintaining forces of Mars, right? Mars is a protector of boundaries, and Mercury. Rationality. These maintaining forces are desperately needed in that case. The worst gossips are deliberate gossips, black magicians. Okay. Oh, here we have a fun picture. This is usually meant to exact revenge, according to Ruiz. Although I think he's being rather optimistic here, because there are some people who just like to create chaos and hurt people because they like it. But he says this is usually meant to exact revenge, this deliberate gossip. Children do this relatively innocently, adults more deliberately. This deliberate black magic is compounded by the lie of justification. Okay. This misuse of the word puts us deeper into hell. Okay, so we do have a little, maybe a tautology. For Ruiz, the worst black magic is gossip, and the worst gossips are black magicians. But okay. The deliberate misuse of the word, especially when self-justified, throws us deeper into hell, feeding a tortured mind. And I just decided to throw in a woodcut of which is giving babies to the devil, because it is at once horrific and hilarious to me. Here, devil, have some babies. Oh, yes, thank you. Oh, how wonderful. I shall take your babies. Yes. And my pets behind me shall revel in the babies. Woodcuts. All right. Sorry. We receive these spells from others, but also from ourselves, because Ruiz isn't going to let you off the hook ever. We use negative self-talk against ourselves. Being impeccable with our word will bring positive changes to us. The changes first happen within ourselves, then with others. We must stop defending our opinion as though it were truth. And that is super important. We spread the poison in order to defend our egoic opinions. I certainly have egoic opinions, man. I do feel like my opinion has the solidity of truth sometimes, and I do have to step back, and I do really try to step back and go, this stuff is just my opinion. I'll try to write it out too. Like, I try to remind myself and others, like, this stuff is just my opinion. This is just my opinion. This is just an idea, one of many. I try to say this as much as I can remember to, for these reasons. Okay, so within this spell work of Ruiz's, our interactions are framed in that way. We can control our self-talk and what we say to others and what we accept from others. Ruiz thus far presents little methodology or practice, But that does come later. It really does. You won't see it up front in the book. So if we adopt the first agreement and become impeccable with our word, here's some of his lavish promises. He does have lavish promises. Emotional poison will slowly be cleansed from our mind, and our communication with others will be also cleansed. Even communication with our pets, which is great because who doesn't love pets? I know I do. We become immune from any spells placed upon us. The better we are at it, the greater our level of self-love. We transcend the dream of hell. It leads us to personal freedom, huge success, and abundance. And this is just a big party train full of prizes. I love it. We take away all fear and transform it into joy and love. You will live in heaven amidst thousands who live in hell. Suckers. Sounds good though, right? Heaven. Who doesn't want heaven? Why not? So Ruiz pours forth a rich litany of benefits for agreeing to remain impeccable with one's word. This agreement is central to Ruiz's overall psycho-spiritual schema, which relies heavily and perhaps exclusively upon an internal locus of control. If these benefits are indeed realized, perhaps the fervor of our aforementioned bookstore workers. Remember our friends at Barnes & Noble? Super excited about the book. If these benefits are indeed realized, perhaps their fervor is justified. So let's wrap it up. Conclusion, Ruiz takes good advice, basically treat the word as sacrosanct, and expands it into an all-encompassing experience. Ruiz uses this agreement to internally locate total control of one's reality. Generally, this is a healthier way to move through the world, to put on shoes rather than demand that the world be paved. I cannot entirely ignore the impact of malign actors, difficult circumstances, or unfortunate consequences on well-being. These experiences are most certainly real and impactful. And that's sort of the mundane experience. Ruiz asks more of us than that, though. Remember, he wants us to realize that we're taking that stuff on as part of an agreement, an active participation. We should, however, nurture and build a stronger internal locus of control. I do think that on balance, especially these days, in this larger era, it's easy to kind of roll over and say, oh man, it's all too much. And there is a lot. But reinforcing the internal locus of control is a bulwark against that, our ability to absorb, accept, reframe, and intentionally respond to external circumstances and internal impulses. This is forgotten easily. It's not all just about what's outside. So our internal locus of control lets us respond to external and internal things instead of reacting. Ruiz gives us strong examples of wonderful and terrible consequences for success or failure in this endeavor. And yes, it is rather exaggerated, but it's attention grabbing. I'll give you that. All right. Thank you for reading this whole thing. It's literally half of a book summarized. Yeah. If you grab 4 agreements, first half of the book is dedicated to just that first agreement. So sticking with me through this video, you are a champ. Feel free to leave a comment below, whether you're on the blog or you're on this video that you're watching, or maybe just step away from the computer or phone or tablet because you've been here for a while. Have a nosh, have a drink, enjoy the restroom, go outside, enjoy the world. And I appreciate you being here. And don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell icon so that YouTube can notify you of future videos. None of the hits all of the time. All right. With that, I will say adieu and have a wonderful next couple of weeks. Okay, bye.